So this was brought to my attention not too long ago, and I struggle to even believe that it's true. Well, I know what I've heard is true, but I don't know if what I've heard is actually, is actually the real situation because it just sounds too dumb. You know how a lot of vegans don't like killing animals and believe that killing animals is bad? And that it's unfair, that they can't take a life, that killing for food is bad, etc., etc. Well, that supposedly extends to nature as well, and to other animals, meaning not only is it bad for humans to kill animals for food. So if I go on an elk hunt or a moose hunt or whatever, and I shoot a moose or a reindeer or deer or whatever or an elk, and I slay the elk, and I slaughter the elk as well, and I separate the skin from the tendons and the ligaments and the meat, and I bring the meat back home, that's bad. Because it's morally wrong to kill animals for food. So that of course in the vegan mind applies to humans. But supposedly it also applies to animals. So if a grizzly bear, kills the salmon, which is swimming upstream, for food, then that bear needs to be sentenced and judged in a court of law, in an animal court of law, supposedly according to these lunatics. People like this exist. I mean, I'm not even gonna go on a rant about how stupid that is, because it's so retarded. I'm actually at a loss of words. But let me just steel man the argument for the sake of discussion and for the sake of entertainment. If that is true, then everyone and everything that kills something and someone else has to pay a price, because it's wrong and it's morally bad to kill another life. So plants are life also. You know that, right? Because in nature you got like 3 phyla or kingdoms or whatever, or domains, whatever they're called, of life. You have animalia, which are animals including humans. You got plantae, plants, and you got fungi, the funguses, the fungi, the mushrooms. So yes, plants have lives also, or plants are also a form of life. And there are plants that grow faster than other plants and that take their place and that make other plants die. For example, there are different species of trees that grow faster than other species of trees. And some of those trees grow so much faster that they take up more and more sunlight, so that the other trees around them and the other plants rot and wither and die. So in that regard, that tree as well needs to be sentenced and judged in a court of law. Now, it's one thing to communicate with a bear, which is difficult enough in itself. How in the world are you going to communicate with a tree? I mean, if you ever watched the Lord of the Rings, with the, what's the name of those trees? There's like a talking tree species that moves very slowly, and that helps out a couple of the guys. I forget get the names of the trees, but there are like these talking trees. Well, you better hope that those talking trees are real, because how else are you going to sentence a tree in an animal court of law? How are you going to sentence a mosquito that stings you and that gives you malaria, and then you pass away from the malaria? How are you going to sentence the venomous snake, or the spider, or some other insect? How are you going to sentence the boa constrictor, or constrictor? The world's largest. I don't know if it's the boa constrictor, but certainly the boa constrictor is one of the largest species of what's the name called? I I don't know, but it's one of the largest species of snakes that actually strangle their prey. How are you gonna sentence those? How are you gonna communicate to the boa that, hey, you misbehaved because you strangled that, I don't know, that cattle or that human? It's dumb. And so the point being, there are people who are so convinced about their nonsense that you can't even talk to them. Here's what you do. You just avoid them. If you want to learn more about sales, persuasion, business, get subscribed to my email list. The link to do so is in the episode description wherever you're watching and listening to this, and I'll see you there.